guys, this is a video about how to drive in the rain. We have a yellow weather warning here in Cheltenham, and I feel like I haven't seen dry weather for about 2,000 years. It has been raining constantly. There are puddles everywhere, there is surface water everywhere, there is water covering horrible potholes, and I just feel like it's my duty to make a video about this and to teach you how to drive in the rain. So this is a video about this. I was contemplating whether to do it or not because the windscreen wipers are going to be going. If that annoys you, I'm sorry. Click off and hopefully I'll give out some more information. The windscreen wipers are going to be on in this video, but hopefully you'll get information about this that will keep you safe for the rest of your life. Yeah, weather driving, let's get this done. Okay guys, let's start this lesson. So the first thing that I'm going to talk about with this horrible weather that I'm driving in is that the stopping distances are immediately doubled. Okay, so a normal stopping distance from the person in front is 2 seconds. So if it was beautiful weather and it was lovely and dry, we're supposed to be 2 seconds behind the person in front. When it is raining, this typical stopping distance is immediately doubled. So on your driving exam, you are going to be expected to drive 4 seconds behind the person in front if you're driving more than 40 miles an hour. In 30s, have a safe distance from the person in front as well. So in ice and snow, I'll mention at this stage that it could be up to 10 times the normal amount, okay, which is basically the 20-second rule, but they say up to because, I mean, it may just be a tiny bit of snow, it may just be a little bit of ice, right? So the next thing that you're going to notice is that people have got their lights on, right? And this is to make sure that people are more visible in this weather, okay? So my automatic lights have come on, and I have got my dipped headlights on, which are my normal driving lights at night. If you are driving on a motorway and there is a hell of a lot of spray, and I mean exceptional amounts of spray, and you cannot see further than 100 meters, then you are allowed to use your fog light, but make sure visibility is particularly nasty because a fog light is dazzling and it can dazzle people. So only put on your fog light if visibility is less than 100 meters. That is very important. Now, the other thing to mention is that there is different speeds on your windscreen wiper. Now, I know that this video could be a little bit annoying, and that's why I was worried about releasing it, but I have to have my windscreen wipers on at the second rate, because if I put it on first rate, which is intermittent, then it's going to be not enough for this video and I can't drive safely, okay? So it would have been one swipe, then it would have rested, and then it would have swiped later. That swiping, if you've got a really modern car, can be changed as well. So the swiping can go from a lower weighting swipe to a faster weighting swipe. There'd be an extra dial for you to muck around with if you needed to find that. Mine is automatic, so it just went a little bit faster a minute ago because it decided that it needed me to see even more. So I've got automatic on mine to go slower and faster. But you can interact with it. You can put it further up and it can go to intermittent, then it can go to regular, and then it can go to super fast. Okay, so the next thing that we need to talk about is that there is potentially surface water all over the road, okay? Now, surface water can be extremely dangerous. You can see it here, and I've had to go off my gas to let the car overrun, which basically means I've come off my gas pedal to allow the car's speed to slow down naturally. I do not want to be going through this surface water quickly because I can skid on the top of the puddle, which is called aquaplaning. Aquaplaning is extremely dangerous because the tyres cannot grip the road, and you can basically slide around on a puddle like it's made of oil, right? It is incredibly dangerous because your wheels are not actually touching the floor, it's touching the puddle, so you can skid, you will lose control of your steering. You need to be extremely careful of surface water. If you're driving on a motorway, there will be signs on the matrix signs to tell you that there's surface water, because you need to go slower. If there's surface water and you can avoid it by overtaking it like it is some kind of hazard to you, like a fallen tree or a bin or a parked car, then you should try and avoid the surface water as if it's a actual hazard, a tangible physical hazard. If you are having to go through it, then make sure that your speed is severely reduced. Make sure there is no one behind you that is going to be affected by that, by checking your mirrors, or slow down in a more gentle way, so if there is somebody behind you, that they can cope with what you've done. So if there is surface water on the floor, the other thing that can happen is that the surface water can cover and hide absolutely atrocious potholes. So there's surface water on this road now. I need to be very, very careful, because it's all going down the road, because this is a massive hill. You can see that all of the drains have burst here, and that there's water travelling all the way down here. Potholes can be brutal, and you can basically pop your wheel on the pothole. So if there is puddles on the floor, they can hide very nasty potholes. And if you are a lover of the Mr. Men stories, I call them Badland puddles, because if you, in the Mr. Man story, in Badland, the puddles are just massive. Yeah, you can't just splash around in them and have fun. You're going to break things, you're going to fall into those, yeah. So speed can be severely reduced in this weather. You may not be able to drive the normal speed limits because there's so much rain, right? I've got a strong memory of driving to a driving lesson years ago, and I was on a 30 and there was so much rain, and I had the fastest windscreen wiper on that I possibly could, and I still just couldn't see a thing because my windscreen was absolutely covered in water, and we all were doing about maybe 9 to 10 miles an hour to get through that. Now, weather like that doesn't tend to last really, really long, so my advice to you would be that you go and find somewhere safe to park and wait that kind of weather out. Now, this is bad weather, this is terrible weather today, but it is drivable. I need to be very careful with my following distance, like so at the moment I'm really considering my following distance from this car in front, because it is literally very difficult for me to stop the car and not go into the back of him if I'm really, really close. Especially on a motorway, you do not want to be travelling closely to the back of somebody else. You want to choose to leave a very decent space of 4 seconds. I call that the bubble of space. Yeah, so if somebody comes into your bubble and pops the bubble, then just make the bubble again and make sure that the bubble of space is 4 seconds. I've made another video about the bubble of space if you need to know what I'm talking about, but you're just making a fictitious bubble in your head, which is 4 seconds in front of you, and hopefully the person behind is leaving the same space, so you've got the 4 seconds behind you as well. Really important. Now, when you're going past larger vehicles, they're going to cause spray as well. So if you're behind like a big truck or big vehicle, then if you're traveling too close behind those types of vehicles, they are going to splash right all of the water on the floor towards you as well. So again, if you're following big vehicles, if it's possible to overtake them on a motorway, then fair enough, it may be safer for you to overtake them. If you are going to stay behind them, make sure that you leave even more space, because they are going to be taking the water up from the floor into your onto your window, and you will find it very, very hard to see as well. Now, people around you may not be as considerate of the weather as you, I'm afraid, and I'm afraid that is a very serious problem, especially in ice and snow. People just drive like it's not there, so be extremely careful. In these conditions, I'm afraid people don't respect these conditions enough, and they drive very quickly, and they can lose control on these puddles. The other thing to consider is we are not allowed to splash pedestrians on purpose. Yeah, we're not allowed to do that. The police are going to have an issue if they can see you driving around and splashing people on purpose. That is not allowed. Be very, very careful not to splash people. That is just an insult, right? So please look at the puddles, look at the families, look at people walking about, and do your absolute best to be aware of these puddles so you don't splash people, okay? I'm trying to think of any more information that I can possibly come up with now. I'm starting to struggle to think about anything else that I can possibly say. But the most important thing about this video is that you keep safe, that you use a suitable speed for the conditions that you are driving in. Yeah, if it's torrential rain, pull up on the left. If it is drivable rain, be very careful of surface water and puddles. Oh, I tell you what, I can talk about going through massive puddles. Be very careful if you are driving through a gigantic puddle. You don't necessarily be very careful about going through a gigantic puddle. You might not make it, and you literally may write your car off. So if there has been torrential rain and they're relieving huge puddles on the floor, even if the person in front of you has gone through the puddle and they've chosen the middle section of the road where the white line is, and that's the most shallow part of the road, because most roads are designed like a rainbow. Yeah, the lower sides are to the left and the right. Even if you are trying to choose the middle section of the road where the most shallow part is, be careful. If the puddle is too deep, don't go through it unless you've got a specially designed car where the exhaust pipe is high, because you can write your car off, okay? So don't just copy the person in front, it's really important. So this road is a fast road, but I'm not going to be doing a very fast speed limit because it is very nasty. I think I've got a flood warning here on the floor. Yes, I do. So I'm checking my mirrors and slowing down. I'm looking for the flood. I'm keeping out of the flood a bit. Chose the most shallow part of the road there. I came off my speed a lot to be able to deal with that. It wasn't actually that bad. I didn't need to go really, really slowly. But I went through. I could hear the water on the left and the right going on my wheels. I did not aquaplane because I didn't feel my steering wheel go light, yeah, and everything was fine with that particular one. Other things that I can talk about are fords on the road, so that's when water is passing across the road like a river going over the top. If you get that, you need to test your brakes after you've done a ford, and make sure that your brakes are working after you've gone through water. There's so many flood warnings here. I'm making sure that I go around the puddle as much as possible, or choosing the shallowest part of where the puddle would be, which would be the middle part of the road, okay? All of these roads I've been driving a hell of a lot slower because it's raining very, very heavily. I have absolutely not gone near the speed limit on any of these roads because of the conditions, especially on the 60-mile-an-hour road that I was just allowed to do, not in these conditions. The sign does not have the capability of changing in bad weather conditions for me, so I as the driver have to look at the conditions and I have to make choices about what speed I'm going to do to go through these. As you can see, some of my positions on this particular road have been more so to the right where the white line is. I need to be very, very careful about oncoming people if I'm choosing to use that position, because of course I am starting to be closer to the people in front of me, and that's dangerous because obviously the people in front of me may be on my side. So I'm choosing now the more centre position to stay out of the surface water on the left, because I can see very, very clearly in front of me that there is no one here. This is a 60-mile-an-hour road, but I'm doing 34 and I can barely see out of the window. This is enough for me now. Oh, the weather conditions are absolutely horrendous. There's a car now with his lights on. Yeah, this has been a tricky drive. I'm now going slower. There's a blind summit in front of me. I do not know what's over the top of this hill. A blind summit is when you can't see over the top of the hill, and I'm not sure whether there's flooding at the bottom. Wow, this is a very nasty, nasty day. I hope this information has helped you. Pretty nasty, guys. If you're going to go driving in this, make sure that you respect these conditions very, very highly. Okay guys, I'm going to stop the video there when I can. I really hope this has helped you. Good luck and keep safe on the road.